Everybody loves a hero. People line up for them, cheer them, scream their names, and years later they'll tell how they stood in the rain for hours just to get a glimpse of the one who taught him to hold on a second longer. I believe there's a hero in all of us that keeps us honest, gives us strength, makes us noble, and finally allows us to die with pride, even though sometimes we have to be steady and give up the thing we want the most, even our dreams.
Hi, I'm Vince Bollinger. I'm the Director of Film Studies at Rhode Island College, and I've been the director for, I think, 4 years now. So I teach classes at all levels. So I start from the intro class to the film theory class that students know and love, and then the senior capstone class. And then I teach advanced courses as well. I teach a variety of different topics. I've done documentary. I think most people know me for Russian and Soviet cinema, right? And melodrama, avant-garde experimental filmmaking. Recently I've started moving into team teaching with Bonnie McDonald, and we do production courses also. And so we've done the film style course, and we've done an experimental filmmaking course as well. Well, what I try to do in my class is what I hope that we do overall as a program, which is create informed filmmakers. Right? The idea that if you want to go and make movies, by golly, you should understand what movies are all about. And so my classes are all about exploring those kinds of things, right? What we're really strong at here is kind of what we think of as in terms of theory to practice, right? And so, it's the idea that you learn all this stuff so that you can then apply it, right? And so I think that's kind of a key component to what we do. I can envision a couple ways of doing it. One is neither is front-loading so much in your intro, right? I think instead it could be very useful to have a thesis statement that says, first I will explain how identification works, right? Or how Beaudry and Metz tie identification to questions of space and pleasure, something along those lines, right?
I'm Catherine Kalinak. I am a professor of English and Film Studies at Rhode Island College. I teach everything from the introductory course, Intro to Film, which is a gen ed, and it's also the first course in our major, all the way up to upper division courses in critical studies. I teach the first half of the history sequence, 1895 to 1941. I teach upper division critical studies courses and directors in national cinemas and in genres, and I also direct honors theses from time to time with students who generally want to work in Hollywood. That's my area of expertise, is Hollywood film, and within that in particular, Hollywood film music. I mean, they learn to think critically about film. They get comfortable looking at a film and knowing how to critique it. They hopefully take out of my class skills in learning to write, learning to research, learning to collaborate with each other, learning to think. And he starts with the big question that we're going to come back to at the end of the class. Is the notion of national cinema a useful category anymore? Should we disregard it and abandon the concept altogether? Well, what are some of the problems that he mentions? Anything in addition to what we've already mentioned?
My name is Rosalind Sabilski. I'm an assistant professor of film studies. I teach intro to film and history of film, plus special topics and films courses. Intro to Film obviously provides a grounding for the major, so it introduces students to ways of both making films and analyzing films. History of Film, I teach the second part of the History of Film sequence of courses, and I think it's really important for people who are working creatively in terms of media production, as well as people who are going to be critics or scholars of media, that they have a firm understanding of the history of the way that television and film and visual culture in general has evolved over time. I think, for people who are working creatively, you need to be able to place your work within the context of stuff that's come before. And you need to think about how, what you're adding to the field through the work that you do. And I think, people who study or who evaluate media sort of do this from the other end in terms of thinking about where things fit in that larger body of work. So I think, film history is sort of important for everyone who wants to work in filmmaking in some capacity.
My name is Andrew Cade. I teach Film 116 Intro to Film, which is a basic intro to film studies. A lot of people take it as a general elective. And I also teach Film 370/371, which is screenwriting 1 and 2. And in that, in the first semester, I sort of treated it like a year-long course because I have a lot of the same students. So in the first semester, we sort of focus on writing shorts, writing an outline for a feature, and then in the second semester, trying to write as much of a feature-length screenplay as they can. Well, I'd say for Intro to Film, it's just, like I said, a lot of students take it when they're having other majors, and it gets them, for some students, it gets them interested in taking more film classes, some not so much. But for screenwriting, it's really all about, a lot of students sort of seem to find their confidence and rhythm as a writer throughout their scripts. So really, I think one of the major benefits, particularly of the screenwriting course, is having their work read aloud on a week-by-week basis. A lot of students haven't had that opportunity regularly, so I think it's a good outlet for creativity and sharing their work.
All of us, pretty well familiar with flashbacks, but I know some of us are using them for different purposes in our writing, or we may use them in some of our future writing. But he talks about how sometimes flashbacks are used to convey fragments of memories from inside the mind of a character. And sometimes these flashbacks will gradually become more coherent as they continue to pop up. And ultimately, in the end, oftentimes they'll end up revealing some sort of mystery. So one way to utilize flashbacks is to convey fragments of memories from within a character's mind. And maybe at first we, the audience, aren't entirely sure what's going on here. But the more they pop up and the more frequently they pop up, it becomes clearer to us and perhaps even clearer to the main character. And these flashbacks are obviously typically building towards something. Oftentimes it's a reveal of a certain set of information.
My name is Bonnie MacDonald. I teach in both film studies and communication here at Rhode Island College. The courses I've taught over the years have been in both departments. In film studies, I teach a couple of courses, but one of them, the first one is in the production track. It's pre-production. And then right now I'm teaching a course, Intro to Film Production, which is a follow-up. Recently I've taught with Dr. Bollinger a couple of collaborative courses. One was on film style, and more recently the one we did last semester was experimental film. So we both enjoyed those collaborations. I hope they come away with learning kind of a process more so than a specific way of doing things, because as their careers move on, the equipment's going to change, the software is going to change, but it is, in its very root, your storytelling. So hopefully they get that process down and can adapt to the different methods or types of equipment that you use. It is getting better and better and less expensive, and it's more feasible now for students to be making their own films and getting somewhere with their own films. So I would say process, and maybe a little more, ideally figuring out what their own voice is, how they say what they want to say.
And go to the next step. In this case, it's a treatment where you fully think through the whole thing. You know, in the case of the narrative, it's going to be Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. But you need to know kind of who the audience is beforehand. You need to have some idea of that. Like, Mitch is going to do Gamers Night. I know there's already shots and things, and he has a screenplay. But you also wrote a treatment.
Yeah.
Right, so the treatment would be how to get the next hunk of money to go on and go into production.
All right, my favorite class in the film program was easily Screenwriting 2. Screenwriting 2 gave me probably my biggest achievement in the film program here, which is I wrote a feature-length script, which is something I had never done before. By the way, Andrew, he's a good guy. Don't fire him. He's pretty dope. Keep him around. And if he's watching this, sup, dog?
So far, it's probably a tie between screenwriting and production with Bonnie McDonald, just because we finally are able to get out of just theorizing and analyzing film and actually start making things, which is what we really want to be doing.
I love both classes. I love being able to write in Andrew's class, and I love being able to make the things that I wrote in screenwriting and production class. So far, those have been my favorite two classes.
I feel like you get free reign to do whatever you want, kind of like how Rosalind let us do that film history project where we actually got to film something, even though it's film history. And I actually, film history too is kind of up there for me too. I thought it was going to be, most of the film history classes, the history classes where you're like analyzing stuff, I don't like that much, but this one has been really good. So that one, along with those two, have been up there for me.
The classes that actually ended up having the biggest impact on me in film studies were the avant-garde 1 and 2 classes. Because I thought before taking avant-garde that I was open-minded to film, and I thought, you know, that I actually had a good taste and sense of it. But then after I got into avant-garde, that was when I really started getting into film, and it really just expanded my mind and my vision of film in general. It showed me ways of making films that I'd never even thought of before, and these films have been made up to almost 100 years ago. That was really fascinating, and I think that was really the class that changed my perspective on film as a whole.
So currently, I've been working on this documentary about my friend Kyle Sorelli, who was actually one of my fellow students in the film studies program here, and whose name is now taken over HM 193 as the Kyle Sorelli screening room. So I've been working on this documentary for a while, where I interviewed a lot of his friends and family. He struggled with muscular dystrophy most of his life and was really obsessed with movies, particularly horror movies. And so I decided to interview his friends and family after he passed away a few years ago. So I've been editing that for a while. Editing is not my strong suit, so it's been taking a lot longer than I certainly planned, but I'm hoping to just have that posted online in the next few months. Basically a documentary spanning his life, his struggle with his disease, and also talking about his time in the film program at Rick. So that's really one project that I've sort of specifically been working on, as opposed to just rewriting different scripts and stuff like that.
I'm currently at Florida doing the Disney College program. I haven't really had any chance to do any film stuff since I've been working down here mostly, but yeah, that's pretty much all I've been doing. But it's fun because I get to go to the parks whenever I have a day off, unless I work crazy days. Met a lot of great people, and it's been really exciting. It's a crazy, exciting experience.
So I actually, right after graduation, I had an opportunity to work on a small, history channel documentary called We Have Met the Enemy, about Oliver Hazard Perry, that filmed in Newport with a very small crew. Tom Fleshy and I actually were able to work on it with 3 other kids who were still, you know, in school and they were still learning. So it's kind of cool to share experiences with them as well as the crew. And that set was so amazing. Especially working in Newport. Working in a new location was kind of nerve-wracking, but it was really cool because we kind of got to know Newport and everything.
Friends and I run a YouTube channel called Climactic Event where we work on some short films. We'll do uploads every once in a while. So I've been helping my friends out with a few shorts and web series that they've been working on. And my big kind of solo project lately has been a short film that I've been writing for about 6 months now called What is C? I finally completed a draft a couple weeks ago. I've done a few revisions of that draft ever since. And fingers crossed, if all goes well, I'm trying to put together a crew. I'm getting started on pre-production right now. And it is something that I 100% aim to film, and over the summer, I'm thinking maybe a few days filming, and I want to try to get it out there because it's a story that I'm beyond excited to tell people.
So I worked on a small indie feature called The Wrong Todd, which was awesome. And I learned that I hate doing costuming. And I'm currently working as a QPA on the Santa Files, which has been quite the experience. And a couple different web series, including It's Just Coffee and Magic
Some of my best memories, definitely, there's always lots of cramming for exams in the dining center. That was always one of those things where everyone was just joking around, trying to predict what questions Bollinger would put on the exams, but also attending the film festivals, because I was a part of the original board. I was secretary or something, essentially the person who didn't do much at all, but that was always good times where the film festivals and stuff like that, just hanging out with fellow classmates outside, even if we were studying, it was always fun and entertaining.
Filming all the short projects with all my friends, like the music video, the short films for Film Styles, all that stuff. Some of the papers were fun. The Disney ones I always liked because it's Disney, obviously, since that's where I am. But yeah, those are writing about films that you love. That's just always fun.
The analytical classes were really tough for me, but I still enjoyed the class discussion because the classes I was in were filled with people who could talk and go off on tangents and everything like that. And those are some of my favorite conversations to have. And then meeting Bollinger and Bonnie, Vince and Bonnie, I don't know why I said Bollinger. Meeting Vince and meeting Bonnie, and Kay and Soren, and Roz, all of them were huge inspirations to me. Just the experience I had in this program was life-changing, and it was just fantastic.
So one of my best memories of the entire film studies program comes from this class that I took my senior year called Film Style. It was co-taught by Dr. Bollinger and Dr. McDonald. That sounded weird to say. But it was co-taught by Vince and Bonnie, and in that class we were kind of isolated into groups, not of our own choosing. They were just kind of completely randomized groups. We had 4-hour blocks to make 4 or 5 short films, one per person. And I think I kind of speak for everybody here when I say that the first time we did that, we all hated it. It was a terrible experience. Nobody liked the films that they made. But, we stuck with it, partly because the class said, we had to, and partly because as it went on, we really started to see the merit in that kind of class structure. So I kind of took out of that class that, we're not always going to be working under the greatest conditions. We're not always going to be seeing eye to eye with the people that we're working with. But that's to be expected in this field or in any field. And if you're that creative person that wants to go out and wants to tell your story, you're gonna have some kind of conflictions, some kind of barriers that get in your way. But that class really helped me learn how to get past some of those. And by the end, by the fourth film, I actually made something that I was really happy with and happy to put out there and show people.
Kalinak's passion for everything she teaches, it just makes all of the classes come to life. It's inspiring. Anything else? And the losers that I came out of it with. My friends are kind of the greatest.
Yeah, I think we will keep doing what we're doing. I think we've got a really great program that really brings together possibilities with respect to production and offering more classes and more opportunities to actually go out and make stuff or be involved with filmmakers, be involved in creating your own projects for various groups outside of campus or affiliates on campus even, and still doing that rigorous scholarship that I think is really important for students to engage in so that they can be informed filmmakers, right? So that you're not just, you aren't just making films in a vacuum, but you actually understand the history that you're working within, and you understand the conditions that you're working against and working from.
Wow, I would love it if we could expand. I would love it if we could get more students to become film majors. I would like to be able to offer more choices within the major. As a student, you must hope for that too. We're offering 3 critical studies courses a year across directors, genres, and national cinema. I'd love to be giving students more options in that way. I'd like to see the production courses expand. I'd love to see the topics courses expand so that professors who are working on a unique project might teach a course on that project, engage students in research, for instance. But we need more students to really grow the program, and I don't really know what the answer to that is.
In the next couple of years, probably not very different from where it is now, but maybe in the next 5 or 10 years, I think that the program is growing, and I think that the program here is evolving in the same way that film as an academic discipline is also evolving. So there's been a move away from separate television, film, and what was called new media, although it's not particularly new anymore, but from separate programs to thinking about programs in visual culture and in visual literacy. There is a move industry-wide in terms of production that affects even people who work in independent production, in terms of media convergence. And so the formal distinctions between film and television and new media are also sort of blurring. And people, that is used to be completely separate industries, and they're not anymore, so people tend to work in more than one area. And I think our program is, committed to evolving to provide our students with the best way of keeping up with those changes, regardless of what they want to do when they leave here, whether it's production-based or more critical-based.
I guess it's hard to say. I definitely think, I can compare my time in the program as a student already to my time as a faculty member, and it seems like there are definitely more opportunities for more production-based opportunities. Like, I think it's really interesting to teach a class now that's combined theory with production and stuff like that. So I'd see maybe there's more opportunities on the production.
I would like to see the film studies program develop into a fully fledged department. I think there's lots of reasons for that, but I think it's likely to grow. I predict it'll grow, and it would give the department then the possibility of getting more production people here full time, which is needed. And right now we're very reliant on adjuncts, and I think as a department we could actually get some full-time faculty in on that production side, and it would be very helpful. Students come into the film studies program here at RIC I think looking for that combination of theory and production, there's the option to keep going with theory with the intention of going on to a master's degree in film studies, and then maybe a PhD so that you might teach at a college later. The people who are doing production might want to go into industry or onto an MFA in film production. But I think that the student who does both is leaving here with the strongest understanding of how film works in our culture as well as how films are made. So I think the program's solid in that way, and I just think we could probably, we deserve the status of a full-fledged department, in my opinion.